Welcome, everyone. We're going to get started in just a minute. Okay, welcome everybody. We are so glad that you're here. We're ready to start our 6th annual Google Camp. We appreciate everyone showing up and being part of this experience. You can see our hashtag there is IE Google Camp. I do want to say that this being our 6th annual Google Camp, that's really exciting for us. And for all 6 years, the Riverside County Office of Education has partnered with the Menifee Union School District. And so that has just worked beautifully. My name is Dennis Large. I'm the Director of Educational Technology with the Riverside County Office of Education. And I just want to remind everybody in here this morning to have fun, to make sure that you're sharing with each other and learning from each other. And so we've got a couple of exciting days planned, and I want to give my colleague John a chance to introduce himself.
Hello, everyone. I know this has been going on for 6 years, but new to the position, new to this partnership, and it's just been a great time planning this, and very excited to see the number climb in the attendees window. So, thank you so much for joining us over the summer, and look forward to a great Google Camp. So, thank you all for coming, and can't wait to learn from and with you all. And then to go ahead and kick things off, I want to introduce my superintendent, Dr. Jennifer Root, the superintendent of Menifee Union School District. So welcome, Dr. Root.
Good morning. Let me start maybe. Good morning. It's a pleasure to be here to welcome, as of right now, 347 people to Google Camp. You've heard this a few times already. This is the 6th Google Camp, and the first 4 were in person. And when the pandemic hit, it went virtual, but one of the benefits they saw was that they were able to triple the size of attendees in having this event virtually. And so they've continued it virtually today as well this year. You know, in reflecting on Google Camp, I reflected back to when I was a classroom teacher just a few years ago. And I had 1 computer in my classroom of 2nd graders and 32 2nd graders. And I was technology forward, and I had my schedule of how they got 15 minutes every day, once a week on that computer to be able to use technology. And now, especially with the pandemic, districts have invested millions of dollars in technology, ensuring that our children have one-to-one devices, that we have cameras and speakers and all sorts of equipment in our classrooms. And so I think that where this may have been like an elective camp to come to enrich and enhance your abilities, I think this camp was fortuitous and visionary to the future of where we're heading in education. So on behalf of Menifee Union School District, this is more than just a partnership. This is a passion for us to support this project. And I hope that you will all have the very best few days in this camp. So thank you, welcome, and enjoy.
Great, thank you, Dr. Root. We'd also like to have a welcome from Eric Calderon, our Chief Technology Officer here at the Riverside County Office of Ed. Eric?
Thank you, Dennis. And I'm just getting goosebumps right now. And the reason I'm getting goosebumps is, like John Morgan mentioned, we see the participant numbers keep on going up, but seeing people from Imperial County, seeing people from different districts, Newview, Coachella, Chino, and just seeing all the different folks, Dennis, we might need to get a convention center when we start meeting in person. And it's just great to see that the partnership with Menifee continues to grow strong, and that we have a lot more participants coming every year. And just thank you again, Dr. Root, John Morgan, Jenny Thomas from Menifee, and our team at RCOE. Just want to thank you, Dr. Dennis Large, Dr. Hickman, Heidi Baines, Mike Leffen, and Nancy Delgado, Moises, for putting all this stuff together. And again, thank you for the partners. Thank you for Dr. Sunny Magana coming out here. Thank you for all the sponsors that have put this together. And, you know, I also want to thank all the folks that are going to be participating and having their different sessions, and all the educators and different folks that took the time to put those pieces together to really enrich this experience. And I'm hoping what we get out of this, Dennis, is that a lot more folks are inspired about the things that they learned during this time. And maybe next year we can have more sessions and to continue to grow this, because in the last couple of years, this has continued to grow. And then I see Raul Santana from Upland. See, we're reaching a lot of folks out here. So that's really great. And, you know, just a little side story here is that I just want to thank all the educators that are here today. And just a heartfelt thing, because my daughter, prior to COVID, broke her leg. And she actually was not in the classroom for 3 months prior to COVID. So she was already doing that distance learning prior to COVID. And then the COVID pandemic hit, and then she continued her distance learning at home. And if it wasn't for her teachers that really leveraged the technology and to really reach out to my daughter, she entered a second grade below reading level. And now she's exiting second grade, close to a fourth grade reading level, going to third grade. So I just want to thank all the educators out there that took that time to reach those students. To take that time to really reinvent themselves and to innovate, to be part of that. And I'm hoping a lot of the lessons learned through Google Camp, that through these partnerships that we have with Menifee, that we can build from that and really grow our students for next school year. So I'm really excited for that. So just thank you again for everyone that's been a part of this. And hopefully everyone has that energy to just continue to enjoy the sessions. So thank you, Dennis.
All right. Well, thank you, Eric. I hope your daughter's doing better with her leg. So, and actually Eric kind of previewed our next couple of slides here. So here's our Google Camp team. From RCOE, we have Heidi Baines, Nancy Delgado, Steve Hickman, Mike Leffen, and Moses Montejano. And from Menifee, Jenny Thomas, who actually just changed her position in Menifee recently. She's now the new principal of their new virtual school there. So congratulations, Jenny. That's awesome. I want to take a minute. I think everyone realizes that you don't put on a conference without having some sponsors. And for us, Schools First has been with Google Camp since our very first year. They've been our main sponsor every single year. And so we'd like to give Dave Gumpertz a minute to welcome everybody. So Dave, thank you, first of all, and now take it away.
Oh, you bet. Thanks so much, Dennis. Boy, I got to tell you, it's been so great to be a part of this event from the beginning and watch it grow from a really successful event to a wildly successful one. So hats off to you and the Google Camp team for sure. Oh, well, happy hot summer, everybody. As Dennis said, I'm Dave with Schools First Federal Credit Union. I can't see y'all, but I want to thank you for giving me just a minute of your time. Any Schools First members out there, smash that thumbs up button or yes in the chat box if you are. We always like to see who's out there. Yeah, excellent. Well, thank you. Wow, that's great. Thank you so much. Lots of members. We love our members. Well, if you're not familiar with Schools First, we're the nation's largest credit union for school employees. That's all we do. That's all we've ever done for over 85 years, is serve school employees and their families. And what that really means is we have products and services that are specifically created to help you throughout your career and beyond. For example, we have 2 ways to save for the summer months when you may not be getting a paycheck. Many know about our 2.5% interest earning summer savers account, where you can deposit funds and they're completely liquid, so you can withdraw any amount out at any time without penalty. And we also offer our paycheck planner that pays you the same high 2.5% rate, but those funds are locked in, kind of like deferred net pay with some districts until you need them in the summertime. And you can choose to use either or both. We have a classroom supplies loan up to $1,000 that has a 0% loan rate. And that helps you whether you need help with your virtual or real classroom for supplies and things that you might need. And you just pay it back over the course of the school year. Probably my favorite is our school employee credit card. It's currently ranked 3rd in the nation based on our rate as low as 7.5%, which is half the national average. It earns 1.5% cash back on all purchases, and there's no annual fees or balance transfer fees. So you can balance transfer existing debt on a high interest credit card or store account. My personal vice is Home Depot, and you can save a lot of money on interest. Now, in the past, I would direct you to my table for more information and application to join, which is free. But in this virtual realm, I'm putting a link in the chat box with a direct link to our new member page and our promo code, JOIN542, that'll put an extra $15 in your account if you join online. So I encourage you to join Schools First and start taking advantage of the benefits of membership. That's my time. Thanks so much, Dennis and the Google Camp team, and enjoy the rest of the program.
All right, Dave, thank you very much. Hey, look at that. People show up to Google Camp and they get $15. I love it. I hope, David, I hope you were able to see that chat, because Schools First was getting a lot of love there. So thank you very much. All right, John.
Yeah, so really excited. Some of the things that we're looking at doing over the next couple of days. Make sure to hashtag the IE Google Camp. And we need a selfie wearing something tropical. So get those in, get those posted, and we're gonna randomize that and come up with about 5 winners for registration, free registration for next year's Google Camp. So if you think it's great this year, come back next year and post a selfie and see if you can get in for free.
Excellent.
And then also, both today and tomorrow at lunch, we're going to be giving away, obviously Alice Keeler has donated some books. She's got a great book on teaching with Google Jamboard. So we got a couple going out today at lunch during the lunchtime session, and a couple going out tomorrow during the lunchtime session. But yeah, so obviously a big thank you to Alice Keeler, and then show up for the lunchtime sessions and see if you can win yourself a book.
All right, and Alice is here. She's in the chat. If you've read one of her books, show her some appreciation there. Thank you, Alice. We appreciate it. Speaking of Alice, we're going to run through. We have a couple of featured speakers this year, including Alice, who's doing a session today and tomorrow. You'll want to check her session out. Always engaging. We also have Thomas Dixon from Google, who will be doing his What's New from Google Education sessions today and tomorrow. So there's a couple of sessions that you want to make sure that you check out. Also, today and tomorrow during lunch, we have a lunchtime learning series. And today it's going to be the story of a school's transformation, Vale Elementary from Temecula Valley Unified School District. They'll be sharing at lunch. So make sure that you're back here at lunchtime for that session, and to try and win a book, one of Alice Keeler's books. Tomorrow at lunch, the Equity in Action California folks will be here to share. They are amazing, so you want to be here for that lunch time as well. So at lunchtime, go walk down the hall, go to the kitchen, grab something to eat, and come back to your computer and make sure that you're joining us. And tomorrow's keynote will actually be a panel of practitioners sharing some lessons learned over this last year. So this last year has been a little tricky. It's been a little different, and some of us are in need of recharging our batteries after this year. I do want to share one way that I recharge my batteries this summer is doing a jet boat excursion down the Snake River Canyon through Idaho and Washington. That's my granddaughter there, really enjoying her time on that jet boat. So I want you to think of a way that, and share in the chat, a way that you've recharged your battery some this summer, or a way that you're planning to recharge your battery this summer. So let's get in the chat and hear from you of some things that you've done or planning to do this summer. Ooh, look at that. Oh, Yellowstone, beach, Zion, swimming. There you go. Gardening, camping, hiking. Wow. Key Largo. Ooh, I'd like to do that. When are we going? Carlsbad. I love it. Yeah. Very cool. All right, these are awesome plans. And with that, I want to get us to, now that you're thinking about recharging, I think something that's going to really help all of us recharge some is our keynote speaker, Dr. Sunny Magana. I'm going to post in the chat here a link to Sunny's full bio, but I'll share a bit of it with you. That Dr. Magana is an online pioneer. He's an Oxford Research Scholar, an award-winning teacher, and best-selling author. Sunny's latest book, Disruptive Classroom Technologies, introduced the T3 framework as a next-generation learning model for a new era. Interestingly, Sunny is also an avid musician, a yoga practitioner, and a mountaineer. Sunny has his doctorate in educational leadership from the Seattle University, and he has successfully summited the highest peaks in his home state of Washington. So Sunny, to get to that jet boat that I was talking about, we had to fly into Seattle, and then from Seattle to Spokane, going right past Rainier. What a beautiful, beautiful sight. All right, so let me turn it over to you, Sunny. I'll stop sharing my screen. And Google Camp, here's Dr. Sunny Magana.
Terrific. Thanks very much. Great to see everybody. Thanks for having me here. My name's Sunny Magana, and I'm delighted to share some thoughts, and I want to challenge some of your thinking a little bit and do it in a way that rocks. So I'm going to start my talk here. First, I'll tell you a little bit about myself and about my organization. By the way, follow me on chat. Let's chat. At Sunny Magana is my Twitter. So if anything that I say here sparks you, or if you want to respond to a question, you can do it in the chat on the here in the Zoom, or on Twitter, which would be great because then it'll be out there for posterity. So I'm a teacher. I'm a simple teacher, really. I've been teaching since 1983. And I've been focused on finding the most reliable ways that technology can unlock limitless learning potential. I'm very interested in the impact. It's really the only thing I want to talk about. I only want to talk about three things: impact on learning, and impact on learning. But I'm also a musician. This is my band playing at a conference. We're called the Bad Pennies. We're called the Bad Pennies because we just keep showing up. It's classic rock. I'm a classic rock and roller. I learned how to learn by learning how to play music. But I've also been a biology teacher. I was an AP biology teacher, and I'm a researcher. And I'd also like to donate some of my books. So Dennis and Steve, my latest book is Disruptive Classroom Technology. So I'll send you 5 copies that you can, we can do that afterwards for the randomization for folks. And if you send a really interesting and funny tweet, I'll send you a book. I want to start off with a really important quote by one of my educational heroes, John Dewey, who said, "If we teach today as we taught yesterday, we rob our children of tomorrow." That's such a prophetic quote. You know, Dewey was a rock star in his time. He was so far ahead of his time. He was sort of idiosyncratic in the 1920s. He was a little bit out of place and out of time, but his work, his philosophy, his ideas are so original and so powerful that they've moved me ever since I became a teacher. And so that's why I want to introduce you to this new project that I've been doing, Project Moonshot, EDU. To frame the moment, we've had the most challenging academic year of our professional careers. No one's No one can deny that, I think. And what we need right now is to reframe this moment, not worry about learning loss, but talk about learning acceleration. How do we most reliably accelerate learning? And what we need is moonshot thinking, thinking that's so far out that it's going to seem kind of crazy, but it's not if it's backed by research. And here's the goal of Project Moonshot EDU: to double learning productivity, to reliably double the quantity of learning that students attain in an academic year. Is that even possible? Well, I think it is. And I think I've got compelling research to support that thesis, that we can double learning productivity. So I'll send you a link at the end of the session for a vision document that I wrote called Cyber Schooling That Works: The 5 Critical Commitments. Let me take you back to 1995. Some of you might remember this font. It was from Apple Works. And in 1995, I was a charter member of a school that we started, an alternative school in Mukilteo, Washington. It was called Aces High. No lie, Aces High was a name, the students named the school. This is a program for at-risk students who are at risk of not completing their graduation. They named the school Aces High after an Iron Maiden album. And I'll give a free book to anybody who can quickly tweet the cover of that Iron Maiden album, Aces High, the first one to do it, you're going to get a free book. I'll sign it and send it to you. But I wrote this proposal for a cyber school. This is 1995, and this is the first cyber school in Washington State, and I think arguably the first cyber school in the country, because I saw a need for blending online learning with face-to-face learning. And in 1995, I wrote that it's becoming unnecessary for a large portion of people to have to travel to be productive, while there are these electronic bridges that can connect us all. In 1995, I said, we need to equitably and universally share these bridges for all learners. Way back then, I saw that there was a technological divide, a technology haves and have-nots. And I wanted to be the one to bridge that divide with a school that served students in a distributed way. So in 1995, we opened up our doors to Mukilteo Cyber School, and I wanted to explore this ratio. And again, this is with old Apple Works, the Apple worksheet. And I thought, you know, there's going to be at some point a time when online learning is going to increase and face-to-face learning is going to decrease. And we're going to hit a sweet spot. We're going to hit a nexus, some sweet spot where everything after that point is going to be completely different. And cyber school was very successful. How do I know? Because I'm a researcher. And as a researcher, we question everything. You know, critical learning theory is important. Question everything and ensure that you've got evidence to back up what you're saying. So here was the impact. After the first year of the program, 92% of the students graduated. Now, 100% of the students would not have graduated had I not created cyber school. In the second year, we had a 95% graduation rate. In the third year, we had a 99% graduation rate. But this is part of a 3-year longitudinal study to determine what were the qualities, what were the things that caused students to be successful, what were the conditions. And there were 5 critical commitments that we heard from the students themselves that I think are just as appropriate today, 25 years later, as they were in 1995. And the first is everybody's got to have a device. We have to bridge the technological divide in these wonderful United States and ensure that we have universal and equitable access to digital production devices, broadband connectivity, and cybersecurity for all students and faculty. Full stop. But don't stop. You got to keep going. The next thing is we have to build and sustain capacity for high impact cyber teaching. Cyber teaching that is a way of teaching online, face-to-face, in small groups, asynchronous, synchronous. We have to really embrace this idea of cyber teaching, and not just blended or hybrid, but it means a little bit of everything, because we're going to have a distributed approach when we come back in the fall. The third thing is we need to build and sustain capacity for limitless cyber learning. And that means learning in a distributed way at the beach and at home, in the forest, on a jet boat, in a library, in school, on a Zoom chat. We need to help students develop the ability to learn anything and optimize their learning capacity. The fourth thing was that we had personalized curriculum pathways for all students. Every student had an IEP. And why not? We can do it. We can create a personalized lesson or curriculum pathway for all students, but it has to be driven by students' needs, their interests, and their passion. The fifth thing we need to do is, in order to support that is, and this is going to take more time, establish flexible scheduling. Give students the opportunity to demonstrate mastery in their own way, multiple opportunities to demonstrate mastery. Now, I'm going to focus in on my talks today on these first two, because I think we're seeing a rollout of devices for students, and that's great, but we mustn't stop there. At the same time, we have to build and sustain capacity for high impact cyber teaching and limitless cyber learning. But what does that look like? What are the elements? What are the things we should be looking for? What are the indicators? And that's what I've spent my entire adult career trying to figure out. Now, let me go back to the research. I have the great pleasure of working with John Hattie, who is a legendary researcher, and his work on effect size is such a gift to all of us in education. His work is sort of peerless. And I agree wholeheartedly with his statement that effect size is the most reliable way to determine impact on student achievement, bar none, the most reliable way. And he created an effect size odometer to help us. So if you look here at this screen, a 0.4 is the average. So an effect size of 0.4, I want you to think of this as a tipping point. Anything, that's the average of all the influences that Hattie studied. Any influence that falls below the 0.4 mark has a negative impact on student learning. Anything above 0.4 is desirable. The higher the effect size, the higher the rate of desired effect. So now, once you get above 0.4, you enter the zone of desired effects. That's the zone where the influence will have a positive impact on student learning. Again, anything below 0.4, not so much. So I want you to think about this. Using Hattie's effect size scale, what do you think is the average impact of technology on student learning and student achievement? Go ahead and tweet that out or put it in the chat, and we'd like to see what your responses are. Think about it. If 0.4 is the average, think of all the technology that we have at the moment. What is the impact, the average impact, according to meta-analytical research completed by John Hattie, on the impact of that technology on student achievement? Now, let's see. And we have what's called a range. There's a variety of thoughts. Interesting. Yeah. What is the effect? Give you a couple seconds to share. Let's look at the chat. Yeah, a lot of different choices. Okay, I'll tell you. Why don't I just tell you? The effect of technology has been, according to 161 meta-analyses from more than 10,000 studies, the average effect of all this wonderful technology is a dismal 0.34 on student achievement. That's sobering. 0.34. What's even more sobering is that this effect has not changed since Neil Armstrong set foot on the moon more than 50 years ago. Think of the evolution of technology since 1969, and all of that technology, from computers that were the size of rooms to devices that you hold in your hand. The impact on student achievement is dismal. It's 0.34. It's below the average of all the influences that John studied. Now that's confounding. That confounded me. And I thought, well, why? Have we developed schools that are technologically rich, but innovatively poor? I think that's an essential question that we need to address and wrap our minds around. Are we using technology as a crutch, or are we using it to promote a new kind of pedagogy? So I want to know why. And that's what I spent a lot of time studying. Why has the impact been so low? And I think I have an answer. So I'm going to share with you my thinking. We've been engaged in a planar shift from an industrial age system where teachers tell students what to memorize and students dutifully memorize, to a digital age system where students are using devices, teachers are using devices, we're using chat rooms, we're using Zoom rooms, but the underlying pedagogy hasn't changed. We still have a dominant tell and practice model of instruction that privileges memorization and surface learning. What we need to do is engage in an axial shift. I'll give you a metaphor here. It's between the industrial age teaching system and the digital age teaching system. It's as though we've taken a 19th century donut and just sprinkled 21st century frosting on it. It's still the same donut, but we've just added these technology tools to an underlying pedagogical realm that is just not meeting our students' needs. That's why I think we have such a low impact of technology on student achievement. When you add tech to the tell and practice model, the tech, we're not really taking affordances, we're taking advantage of the affordances of the technology. So I think we need an axial shift. We need a change of consciousness and move from a system that privileges memorizing old knowledge to an education system that focuses on whole child and whole system mastery and well-being. And that is exactly the reason why I wrote this book, Disruptive Classroom Technologies, which 5 lucky winners will get a free copy, and somebody that finds that copy of the Iron Maiden Aces High album will get one. This is how we do it. So then the next question is, okay, well, how do you go about doing that? And I want to focus on my work, and I can synthesize all my research into a simple rock and roll metaphor. When it comes to modern teaching and learning, high impact pedagogy is the melody, and adding technology, high impact technology use, adds the harmonies, and together you get great music. I love rock and roll music, and this metaphor speaks a lot to me, because if the melody's got to be the pedagogy, a digital age pedagogy, a new pedagogy that's focused on the learner and the learning, and not so much on the teacher and the teaching. It's more what students do, what learners do as a result of the teachers and the teaching. But high impact pedagogy is the melody. High impact technology use adds harmony, and the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. So I'll tell you a little story. When I was 14, I taught myself how to play guitar. I loved music. The first music I listened to was the Beatles, and I learned how to play the guitar. I was very happy strumming my guitar around a campfire and playing with friends and learning songs that I heard on the radio, translating songs from the radio onto my guitar. And then I heard this. Turn it up. Give it a moment. Look, Eddie Van Halen blew my mind. That song, Eruption, 90 seconds, changed my life. I never knew those sounds could be made out of a guitar. And so I couldn't go back to playing Country Roads or songs on my 6-string guitar. I had to learn. I was compelled. It was a disorienting moment, and I needed to learn from Eddie Van Halen. Fortunately, I heard him on a radio station, and he talked about how he learned how to play guitar. And he said, look, he gave us a framework. And he said, if you're the kind of kid that's playing your guitar, you're probably sitting around the campfire. Oh, there we go. Diane Pales, you win. Get Iron Maiden. Follow me, Diane Pales. Send me your address. And there it is. Well done. So anyway, Eddie said, look, if you're sitting around the campfire playing songs, keep doing that. It's good for you. But you got to know you're in a stage. If you want to get better, you got to play like Chuck. You got to learn how to rock out like Chuck Berry. He said Chuck Berry almost single-handedly invented the form of music we know as rock and roll. You got to play like Chuck in order to get to the next level where you're innovating and doing something no one has done before, creating your own form of expression. So Eddie's gave me a guitar playing framework that, to me, categorized my learning music. Surface learning, the basic facts, the details, going deeper and studying a genre of music and really understanding the nuts and bolts and the deeper learning. And then being able to apply that, to transfer that knowledge into some new context where I'm playing something that no one's ever done before. I'm playing in my own style, in my own way. And that is exactly the inspiration for T3 framework. T3 is inspired by rock and roll. And there are 3 domains of learning: translational learning, transformational learning, and transcendent learning. Let me go a little bit deeper into each one of those. In translational learning, we use technology to shift from an analog teaching and learning system to a digital teaching and learning system. We're just translating from a lecture in person to a lecture on Zoom, for example. And that's a starting point, but too often it's seen as a stopping point. Like that, if that's all we do, then we can check off a list and we're good. But my research shows it's different. We need to go more. We need to do more and go to the transformational phase. In transformational learning, students change. They become their own teachers. They awaken an inner learning sensei, and they learn how to optimize their own learning and learn how to express themselves, how to be more involved in planning for their learning, express and represent their knowledge gain, and appraise and evaluate their own learning. They become their own assessors. And the two elements in the transformational domain are production. Now, too often students merely consume information. And if you join me in the follow-up session, we're going to go deeper into examples of production where your students are actually producing representations of their knowledge using digital tools. So the principle of production is a 21st century principle that we must embrace and have students move from simple consumers to active knowledge generators and producers. The second principle is the principle of contribution. This is extraordinarily powerful. Too many of our classrooms are highly competitive spaces where students compete for the highest cut score. And I think we need to shift to a system of contribution where students are contributing to the well-being and mastery of themselves and each other. It's all about the collective. Contributive learning is a philosophical approach that allows students to learn how to become members of a community, a limitless learning community. The transcendent phase is the phase where we take that knowledge and we apply it in some new context, in some new way, to do something that hasn't been done before, to go above and beyond the normal range of human expectations and experiences. And the first principle of social entrepreneurship, the first principle of transcendent learning is inquiry design. Inquiry is something that I don't think we need to teach, we need to refine. We're born inquirers. Homo sapiens are naturally inquisitive. We're a naturally inquisitive species. It's our amazing human brains and our ability to inquire that's allowed us to become an apex organism on the planet. Why not allow students to explore wicked problems that matter to them by engaging in inquiry design? The second principle in transcendent learning is social entrepreneurship. And that's where students generate ideas. They use their imagination to solve wicked problems that matter to them. So here's a question we should stop asking kids. What do you want to be when you grow up? Just erase that question. Instead, ask this question. What wicked problem matters to you? And what are you going to do to solve it? That lights a child's passion pilot light and allows them to engage in their own natural inquisition and inquiry process to generate, imagine, and share and play and reflect upon solutions to wicked problems that matter to them. And the strategies in the transcendent phase have been used for thousands of years. I've just refined them for the K-12 classroom. So the T3 framework is a tool. It's not just a simple tech integration framework. It's a pedagogical model. It's a next generation pedagogy that honors the past, allows us to be fully present in learning and learning how to optimize learning in the moment, and allows students to be able to apply that learning in future landscapes to solve future learning problems, and we don't know what they may look like. Now, what is the impact of this? Because I talked about impact. Well, in my book, Disruptive Classroom Technologies, when I introduced the T3 framework, and peer-reviewed research, and that's really important. This isn't just a single study, but I've been studying this problem for 40 years. I started when I was very young, but for 4 decades, I've been exploring this and have repeated peer-reviewed research that shows that the T3 strategies have observed effect sizes that have been repeated of 1.6 and even higher. This is work I did with my good friend and colleague, Dr. Robert Marzano, who very graciously wrote the foreword to this book. 1.6 is such an extraordinary effect size. It's equivalent to quadrupling student learning. That, my friends, is a moonshot. to quadruple student learning now in this moment when we're just getting over, we see the light at the end of the tunnel of one of the most devastating pandemics in modern history. We need to embrace a new pedagogy, a next generation pedagogy that will serve our students and our learning systems now and well into the future. But this is peer-reviewed research that shows a quadrupling is possible. My work was recently inducted into the University of Oxford's Research Encyclopedia of Education. So if anyone is interested, send me a link and I'll send you that research study. This shows that it's highly reliable. It's been peer reviewed by global education scholars who checked my math, checked my research, checked my methodology, checked my findings and said, yep, this is legit. This is credible. It's all part of this larger approach to whole person development that starts with this. You got to start with self-reflection. This is my theory of action. When we are involved in greater self-reflection, it leads to greater self-regulation. Over time, greater self-regulation leads to greater self-awareness, where we know ourselves, we know our capacity, we know what our strengths and weaknesses are and are able to mitigate those. Greater self-awareness leads to greater self-determinism. Whereas learners, we know we can achieve anything if we're willing to put the effort and commit to our learning goals. Self-determinism is the great ideal upon which our great nation was founded, of liberty and self-determinism. I think we need to have a kind of a constitution of learning where students become self-determined learners. And I think over time, self-determinism leads to greater self-actualization. And for those of you that studied Maslow's hierarchy, you know that self-actualization or self-realization is the highest level in his hierarchy. This four-step process is how we achieve self-actualization and be all that we can be and realize our limitless potential. That is a moonshot. That's the goal of Project Moonshot, to double learning productivity and embrace whole system well-being and mastery. And John Hattie looked at my work. He's one of the people that's responsible for getting my research into Oxford's Research Encyclopedia. And he said that, you know, my Project Moonshot challenge, it's credible, it's powerful, it's exciting. Let's do it. So let's do it. Are you ready to rock? I think you are. Follow me on Twitter at Sunny Magana. Let's continue the conversation. Look for more information from Project Moonshot. I'm going to stop sharing now. And I think we have a little bit of time. No, I'm right on time. So there you go. Thank you very much for your participation. Thanks for having me. I'm going to turn it over to the sponsors. And looks like Kristen is ready to rock. Right on, Kristen. Send me a tweet and I'll send you a book, Kristen. Thank you so much. Thanks, Dennis. Thanks,
right.
Steve. Thanks, Heidi.
Dr. Magana, that was so good. Thank you so much. We just love what you're sharing there. And if you were looking at the chat, you're going to see that you got a lot of love as you were talking. So many things just kind of hit a nerve for everybody right now as they're still sort of in vacation mode, but also thinking about getting back to teaching in the classroom. So love that. Thank you very much, and thank you for offering up some books as well. Diane Pale's already won one. She got that Iron Maiden cover in there for you. I love it. Yeah. So thank you very much. Okay.
Thank you.
We're about to release everybody to go to their first breakout sessions. Just as a reminder, we'll be back in this room for our lunchtime speakers, and we'll have Alice here to give out help us give out a couple of her books as well. So Alice Keeler. So. Thank you, everybody. And if you haven't been checking out the Twitter at #IE Google Camp, go there and check that out. People are really posting a lot of interesting stuff already. So keep that going in the sessions that you go to. With that, you've got a short break. Your first round presenters are going to get all set up and ready for you. You go back into the Sched and find the Zoom link for the next session that you want to go to. All right. Thanks, everybody. Thank you, Dr. Magana.
Thank you very much, everyone. Thanks, Dennis.
Yeah.
Rock and roll.
All right. Dr. Sunny Magana, thank you.